The Lunaverse by Rainbow Double Dash, Season 2, Episode 1, Chapter 12. By any means necessary. Tambleon burned green and orange in the night. A former shot's front exploded inwards as something was thrown in it. It ignited in orange flames. Corona surged out from it. Horn glowing bright white as she lunged after Grogar, who hovered in the air, necromantic wings beating steadily. The lid stopped across her advance by conjuring a black and purple ooze that stretched down to a broad wall hundreds of feet across. Corona checked her ascent just in time to avoid hitting the ooze, but had to retreat as the ooze grew spines and lunged toward her. Yet she held the element of magic in her telekinetic grasp, pulled it close to herself as she lashed out at the spines with flame. The distraction proved critical to Grogar, however, as Luna appeared almost beside the Lich, making a cutting motion with one wing, descended on a plane of air, traveling at supersonic speeds. The air hit Grogar and sent it flying away in two pieces, spines severed. Two halves of Grogar crashed down into the sea, several blocks apart. Suddenly, each of its impacts burst into green flame. The flames, however, raced together quickly as Grogar's bones were carried along, reuniting into a single whole once again. The flames rose higher once it was whole, glancing towards Luna even as Grogar's skeletal form broke apart of its own accord, traveling along the flaming bridge it had created. Luna didn't react in time as the ram's skull connected with Luna's barrel, sending her flying away, though not before the remainder of Grogar's bones had cut ahead of its skull and sliced at Luna as she passed. Corona struck then, as Grogar turned to focus his attention to the other alicorn. Giant fireball exploded almost at the top of Grogar. When the flames cleared from the sky, Grogar remained, protected inside a green and purple shield. But that was when Corona appeared directly overhead, very hind host down into the shield, shattering it. Corona followed out with another air burst of fire to send Grogar soaring down to the ground below. It sent a third fireball down after the Lich, and it exploded, taking out all of Tambleon's buildings. The black smoke that had resulted quickly took on a green glow, however, as Grogar once more reconstituted itself. With a green flash, Grogar appeared behind Corona, lashed out with a lance of black magic. Corona fired it, but nevertheless suffered a gash along her flank. Luna was atop Grogar in an instant, the air around the Lich freezing into a solid block of ice and quenching the lance's flames even as it became trapped. Luna dove her horn into the block of ice, shattering it into black bones contained therein into a million pieces that fell into the ground below. And all that happened was that each piece burst into a green and purple fire. The Lich reformed itself in moments, its bones repairing without difficulty. Grogar was in the air again in moments, held aloft simply by the force of its flames, even as its ribs and spine broke apart into a pair of sharp-pointed whips that lashed out to two alicorns, landing several blows that left behind black, necromantic ooze before the alicorns retreated beyond their range. Corona once more burned the necromantic ooze off of her with orange flames, while Luna opted to instead simply dissolve into mist and reform, the necromantic ooze falling to the ground below harmlessly. Luna burned it away just in case. Both alicorns were breathing heavily. Not panting, not yet, but the two certainly worked up. The Lich can heal from any wound, Celestia exclaimed. They barely even slow it. Grogar appeared between them in a flash of green fire that quickly expanded outwards, engulfing both alicorns. The baleful flames tried to reach into their very beings. The purple flames of Grogar's chest and eyes reaching out as well down their throats, reaching out hungrily for their souls. It hurt, far beyond any physical blow, but it was not pain that was unfamiliar to either alicorn, not when both had fought T-Rex in the past, who may have not been able to steal souls, but certainly could cause them harm. It's not so painful as to liberate them, but the two lashed out as one, turning and striking with the front host of the Lich that had been foolish enough to appear between them. His skull crumbled, the baleful fire died, and it fell away towards the ground. Lich didn't even reach it before reigniting, standing smoothly on the street below, glaring up at the sisters. Corona swallowed, looking to Luna, then to the sky overhead, studded with stars. I fear we have no choice, little sister, she said, her voice grave. Your stars are the flames of my sun. We must scour the island from the earth. Luna shook her head, as both alicorns kept a wary eye on the Lich below, lest it try to teleport between them and attack again. The island is only a thing to help us to occupy the same place where the Tambleon were murdered. It will not rob Grogar of the pressure it is making so strong, and I do not think the damage of a falling star or a solar flare will be enough to overcome its regeneration. She thought that any damage would be enough, in fact. She glanced at Corona, into the elevated magic that she yet held, knowing she couldn't simply suggest what she wanted to quite yet, as Corona would reject it out of hoof. Teleported somewhere else? Over the sun to sea? Into space? Corona shook her head. They'll simply teleport back. We do not have the time to set up a lock. And that, of course, presumes it cannot simply be empowered by the pressure, regardless of its location. Perhaps if Rogar struck again, sweeping its hose before it and conjuring up a crimson whirlwind. Blood, most likely, though neither alicorn could begin to guess its source. It reached for the alicorns. They flew off in opposite directions, but the whirlwind only gathered itself into the sky and shot up its two lances. Corona turned to burn hers away, while Luna once again dissolved into mist. Let the blood lines pass through her and splatter against the nearby building's wall. That proved a mistake, however. Lots of blood had remained behind, and when Luna reconstituted herself into an alicorn again, she found herself screaming in pain as the rogue blood coursed out her very being, hardening and blocking her own blood flow or turning into thin needles that pierced her flesh from the inside out. She fell to the ground below, forgetting to fly and ignoring the pain of the impact to Tambleon streets as she turned her magic inwards, destroying the foreign blood within her. Corona was beside her in an instant, eyes wide as her own magic reached out to help her sister in dispelling the necromantic attack. No sooner had she tried, however, Grogar was dead before the two alicorns. No complex spell this time, simply telekinesis that sent the two alicorns flying into the street. Luna finished her dispelling, picked herself up, panting heavily. Corona looked to be slightly better in condition, but she was already somewhat weakened from her earlier battle with Grogar before Luna intervened. You cannot win, alicorns, Grogar intoned as it started riding down the street. Each host step caused green flames to spring to life and die within seconds. Everything in this world dies. I have become death itself. My power is limitless. Crone whickered. You feed off stolen souls. We cannot last until you burn through the traitor print. How little do you think of the power of a soul, Celestia? It shall sustain me for months. My immortality would be a poor thing indeed if I required souls at any more rapid a pace. No, Alicorn, you cannot outlast me. Very soon you shall tire. You shall stumble. You shall fall. Then I shall feast. Colonel's wings spread wide, readily, willing to test Grogar's assertion. But Luna stopped her with one outstretched wing of her own. By Alicorn glanced at her little sister. Alone with the element magic, still a Colonel's telekinetic grip. The elements of harmony, sister, she said. Corona bristled. We do not need them to overcome this foe, she retorted, turning back to Grogar, horror glowing. Those flames grew in anticipation as Corona fired a burst of fire magic straight at him, then teleported. Grogar stopped the fireball with shield spell, turned around, expecting Corona to appear behind him. He was correct in that Corona waited until Grogar turned around before appearing once more in a flash behind the ledge, right where her fireball had gone off. Grogar didn't realize his mistake until Corona set a fireball right off beneath his hooves, blasting the ledge apart. It was short-lived impediment, as the bones of Grogar immediately began reassembling dozens of feet away. Corona charged, but before Grogar had even fully reformed, its spine and ribs once more formed a lance and shot towards Corona. She might have skewered had Luna not teleported beside the land and pushed it aside telekinetically. Then once more beat her wings and sent Grogar flying away through the walls of several buildings, then collapsed from the force of him passing through them. Luna looked to Corona again, about to try and test the elements once more. She was interrupted, however, when Grogar appeared, charging straight at Corona and ramming her with all his might. She was sent soaring away, and before Luna could respond, Grogar sent a green-tinted fireball at her that sent the Alcor of the moon flying backwards to avoid it. The green fireball chased her every motion, however, splitting apart after a moment into smaller orbs that kept Luna occupied. Grogar hissed to itself, looking at where it sent Corona. She was already rising once more, hurt, but still very much willing and able to fight. This battle would not be over soon. But that was fine. Grogar had time. The sounds of battle could be heard across the island, and only grew as the 6 ponies galloped yet again across Tambleon and towards certain doom. Trixie felt that there were certain patterns beginning to take shape in her life. She didn't like them. Trixie glanced up at her horn, glowing bright blue to provide illumination alongside Lyra's own golden glow. At least the golden flakes that still coursed through her aura were beginning to fade, as the trace amounts of Corona's power she had absorbed were gradually dissipating from her being. This was probably for the best. Trixie wasn't certain she wanted her fireworks to lose its provide any actual heat, knowing how often she used the glamours for effect. It wasn't long before they could see the light of the battle being waged in Tambleon through the trees. Glasses of green, orange, and blue to go along with the noises. The sounds of explosions and screams of powerful gales are shifting resonance of raw magic itself. The 6 ponies slowed as they neared the city, glancing between each other regularly as though they were silently asking each other over and over again if they were really ready and willing to put their lives over the line again. Apparently the answer was yes, as they kept pushing forward, only slowly when they reached the southern wall of the city, they began cantering alongside it, making their way east towards the main gate. The 6 panted as they moved, all of them about ready to go home and sleep for a week. "What now?" Ditsy asked, looking down as best she could at the element of kindness's focus that wrapped around her neck.
"Once we reach that gate, what then? Can we just sit here in the open? Hide?"
"Hide? It was from Luna," Trixie responded. The beat sounded explosive somewhere in the city. Somewhere inside, near the palace, Trixie guessed right, a conflagration of green and orange flame rose to the sky. The two-colored flames seeming to battle with each other even as their creator soared upwards, joined swiftly by Luna. The ponies were too far away to see the lights, as two alicorns as anything other than glowing points of light, but the colors of their magic helped to identify them. Luna in blue, Grogar in green, Corona in white. Luna came at Grogar from the side, but green fire lashed out and kept her at bay. Grogar followed up with a wave of red magic. Corona intercepted, however, with a line of fire that cut through the night sky like an aura. She turned the line towards Grogar, and his green glow ceased for a moment. Tracy thought she saw something falling towards the city below. For a moment thought that Grogar had been destroyed, but then both halves lit up with green flame and came together. Monster cells at Corona appeared below her, and doing something that caused Corona to soar down towards the ground, panting nearly atop the palace of Tambleon. The impact was strong enough to send slight vibrations out, even out to the ponies, and there was a flash of orange where she had landed. "That would be the can't be hurt any more thing Princess Luna said," Lyra nodded, squinting a little. "It was cut in half in there. Didn't help." "He doesn't have to be a good fighter, then," Shirley nodded. "He doesn't have to be as strong as Luna or Corona. He just needs to be strong enough to put up a fight. Princess Luna was right. He can outlast them." Corona shines in the sky with an angry white glow yet again, joined swiftly by Luna's own blue evanescence. He didn't move, however. Trixie winced.
"That's Luna trying to convince Corona to give her the element of magic,"
she guessed. Glancing up at the hat on her head, a hat that should have had the element of magic lying over it.
"Darn it! Why couldn't it be a necklace like yours?"
"That would make things too easy," Raindrops guessed with a grunt, glancing around. "Hey, we didn't come into the city somewhere near here with Corona." Trixie thought for a moment.
"Yeah, you're right."
She said, looking around with her horns glow, making sure that it looked like a hooded lantern instead of a torch as she scanned the nearby forest.
"Which means that. Ha ha!"
The 6 ponies broke away from hugging the wall, trotting over to the forest as quickly as they could. Buried behind a bush, they came across a set of 6 saddlebags, the ones they carried with them to the city, but had left behind them when they needed to fly in order to cut down the amount of weight Ditsy and Raindrops would have had to carry.
"Oh, thank goodness!"
Carrot exclaimed. She didn't go for her own saddlebag, but rather a cream-colored set with clasps and sleeve of Ranto cannery. Lyra let out a yelp of protest, but before she could do anything more, Carrot opened the saddlebags and produced a brown paper bag from within, which she then immediately began searching through.
"That's sort of my candy?"
Lyra objected, but Carrot picked out a few choice flavors, popped into her mouth, while everybody else put on their own saddlebags. Carrot took several moments to chew and swallow the candy she had stolen.
"Sorry," she said, "but like Tracy said, I saw a played chicken with a demon, an alcorn, and a demon round today. That's not even getting into those skulls or the dragon and Bray. I need something, and it would take too long to ferment those."
She pointed idly at a nearby bush, which Trixie could only assume Carrot knew could be turned into some kind of alcoholic beverage, given time in the distillery. Though on that note, Trixie reached into her own saddlebags and produced a flask, unscrewing it carefully.
"Ah!" she sighed to Cyber's sixth best friend in the whole world. "Monsieur Bourbon, vous m'avez manique."
Trixie was aware of eyes on her as she took a swig from the flask. and saw it was Carrot Top. Or more precisely, Carrot Top's eyes were on the flask of bourbon. He as he finished another of Lyra's candies. Trixie took the flask from her lips and held it to Carrot Top.
Don't worry, there's still plenty to go around.
When was the last time we all ate? Lyra asked as she got into a bag of candy back for Carrot Top in exchange for Trixie's bourbon. Lyra got a few pieces herself and passed the bag over to Shirley. On the ship? Except for the candy after we escaped Tambleon the first time, yeah! Raindrops nodded, though she looked at Carrot Top. Said her, she ain't having the force on the way to the city. Carrot Top had just finished her own slink of bourbon, and nearly spit it out at Raindrop's assertion. She glared at Pegasus.
I haven't been able to keep anything down all wing song,
she ejected, passing the flask to her. Raindrops considered the flask for a moment before sighing, taking a mouthful of the bourbon herself. Trixie knew that Raindrops generally avoided drinking, fear not being able to control herself, and potential consequences should she lose her temper while drunk. She wasn't much surprised then, when Raindrops started coughing almost as soon as she had finished, not used to the burn on her throat. She managed to keep everything down as she passed the flask to Lyra next. Funny how being near death makes you forget how hungry you are, she said.
Dinner first, then sleep for a week when this is all over.
Shirley noticed the candy began being passed around, the same as Trixie's flask of bourbon. Lyra finished her own gulp and passed the flask to Ditzy, who held it in her hose, staring for it a long while taking a swallow. The crow's not going to get away, she said softly. Trixie stared at her.
No, she isn't,
she insisted.
Yes, she is,
Dixie countered, as she passed the flask along.
Every time we use the elements, they take a lot out of us. Grogar has got to go first. Not going to argue that. But afterwards we'll all be knocked out. Princess Luna can't fight Corona and protect us at the same time.
She doesn't have to, Lyra tried. Corona doesn't want to hurt us anymore.
Maybe she meant that, Dizzy responded. But she's insane, Lyra. She might change her mind. Or heck, she doesn't have to. She could just teleport us somewhere else somewhere on the island, to Ponyville, to wherever she's been hiding. She could even teleport us to different places, break us up.
Dizzy shook her head, voice itchy a little, eyes wandering further apart than normal. A sigh of distress for her.
Luna can't fight Corona and protect us. She'll have to take us away. Or she'll have to let Corona go. Or she could try to stop Corona and protect us, but then when we're waking up, Corona could teleport away. So Corona's going to get away.
She looked at her host, wings clenched tightly to her body.
If everything she's done, everything she wants to do, she's got to get away again. Well, failed. Again.
The other 5 ponies went silent as they considered that. A few moments, however, Trixie shook her head.
There's nothing we could have done, she said. When Corona first showed up, we could use the elements either on her or Grogar. We made the right choice, weakening her. If we had saved them for Grogar, the Corona would have had us before she had a little personal revelation. She shook her head. Even if she wouldn't have killed us, we would have been useless. And later on, we made the right choice trying to take Corona and Grogar both.
Carrot Top insisted.
Grogar was too strong. We would have had to use the elements on him at some point before Luna got through his shield. Then that would have left us unconscious in front of Corona again.
She stopped a hoof.
We didn't do anything wrong.
Ditsy looked at the carrot farmer.
You really believe that?
She asked, then looked around the rest of her friends.
Did any of us?
Raindrops opened her mouth to respond, but closed it after a moment, looking down at her host. Somewhere in the past 12 hours is what we should have done, she said, but I think we did the best we could with the options we knew we had. All we could do is make sure we do better next time, Lyra said. A small but warm smile spread on her lips. Onwards and upwards, all Cloudsail saying, right? Dizzy was still for a moment, but shrugged.
I grew up in Philadelphia, but you're right. Next time, we'll do better.
She closed her eyes tightly, rubbing away a few small tears that had been there. When she opened them again, they weren't quite as miscellaneous before. One of them even focusing straight forward like it was supposed to.
Onwards and upwards.
Our new motto, Trixie said, as she finally got her flask back when Shirley finished it off. She tucked it away in her saddlebags. Everybody else began packing up as well. Within a few moments they were off again, back to the wall of Tambleon, cantering as quickly as they dared. Beyond the wall, the fight with Grogar didn't seem to progress at all. Luna and Corona still battling had to overcome the Lich, but unable to get past the ability to heal.
The 6 ponies felt somewhat guilty for having taken the few moments to themselves that they just had, while on the other hoof, after hours of constant danger and threat, they needed a respite. We're knights now, Lyra noted. Knights need miles. That's as good as one as any. It will look good on a business card, Shirley noted with a small laugh. Tia, please! Luna begged as he avoided another gout of green fire and responded with a razor-thin gust wind, and once more bisected the lich. Might not have killed Grogar, but was enough to keep him paused for a few moments. We need to use the elements! Corona snorted as he followed up her sister's attack with a fireball, just as Grogar would have performed. There was a time before the elements for us, little sister, she noted, a humorous smile on her face. Have you forgotten? We have overcome far greater foes than this without them. Squirk, T-Rex, the Red Cloud, Lavon. And there have been foes beyond our power, too. The Smooths, Discord. Me? Cried hissed dangerously, eyes narrowing as she went to Luna. Luna started, drifting backwards a few feet, arraying herself. I had no choice, she insisted. I had to protect my little ponies. I swore I would protect them from anything, any threat, just because. Her breath caught her throat, but she pressed on after a moment, though quieter. Just because I never thought that would mean you. It doesn't exclude you. Corona's glare lingered for a moment, the flames of her mane tail raising dangerously high as she glared at Luna. Then, against all odds, her gaze softened. The glow to her eyes disappeared for a moment as she looked at Luna for the first time in 1,000 years. Not an enemy, not as an obstacle overcome, but as her sister. I swore the same thing, Luna, she said. I haven't forgotten, no matter how much you think of me. Luna drifted forward, slowly, cautiously, like one approaching an animal that wasn't sure if it was hostile or not. She'd been this close to her sister recently, but always as he raged to strike her hoof or a wing. Celestia, to Luna's great surprise and even greater relief, didn't flinch, moved away, or otherwise tried to keep her sister back. Please, Tia, she begged. Call back to Canterlot. Celestia closed her eyes tightly, even as she looked away from Luna. Give me the throne, she said. Acknowledge my right. I am Queen of Equestria. I can't do that, Luna responded, even as she desperately wished she could. Celestia looked back to Luna. The younger Alicorn got the sense that Celestia felt much the same thing. That somewhere, she wished she could set aside everything, and return to Camelot with her sister. But her convictions were just as strong as Luna's, reinforced by madness. I will return, Luna, she said. The throne will be mine. And then you will see. You'll see that I am right. Though it may take centuries, you will ask my forgiveness. She shook her head. And I will give it. Then everything will be as it's supposed to be. The world will start making sense again. Celestia was wrapped in baleful green flames. She cried out in pain, her horn glowing, creating a shield directly below her, just as Grogar appeared there, Riz its spine once more becoming a solid lance that would have otherwise skewered the Alicorn of the sun from below. Grogar reacted quickly, however, teleporting around to the other side of Celestia, driving its lance downwards, pierced her back, and drove her flesh to one wing. Celestia cried out as she teleported away herself. If you're quite finished, Grogar droned, turning its necromantic lance towards Luna. She wasn't there. Luna had followed Celestia's teleport with one of her own, found herself between Celestia and her rooftop. One of the elder Alicorn's wings was hanging limply as the fire danced across her body and into her wound, the necromantic influence. She cried out in pain at the burn she caused herself. She was forced to go to her normal virtual immunity to heat in order to burn away the necromancy. Luna's own horn glowed as soon as he was done, healing magic coursing along Celestia's wound and closing it. The glow to Corona's eyes was back, as it was real rage-willed vengeance, but it was directed at Grogar still, not Luna. I will burn him from the skies! She exclaimed with a stamp of her hoof, taking to the air. Luna watched her for a moment. Mouth hanging slightly, she felt tears at her eyes. She had nearly reached Celestia. She was sure of it. They were talking. They had hit a wall, but they had still been talking, reasoning with each other. Even if Corona's reasoning had been laced with her madness, but she had nearly. But then Grogar. Luna launched herself upwards. Corona was in front of Grogar, horn glowing as he rained fire.
When it reached Corona, shoved her out of the way, and drove her horn through the lizard's skull before charging it full of magic. The most powerful magic she could muster, detonating it within the lich. Rogar screamed as it shattered apart, pieces falling away. He reformed a moment later, wrapped once again in green fire. But Luna was already upon him, landing on him with both hind hooves and forcing him to the ground below. They sank several feet, cobblestones shattering. Grogar's flames flared up, but Luna had already stepped backwards and off of it, reached out with telekinesis and hurling up onto a nearby building. The walls of the building shattered apart as Grogar was hurled through it. Luna followed the lich, horn glowing as the deep blue that could only be described as malevolent. There was a support beam of some kind in her way, but she didn't notice it other than to use one wing to flick it aside as he advanced on the lich. This was the fact that it caused the building to collapse around the two of them. Rogar was on his heels again as Luna charged, torn down, and sidestepped, but Luna caught it with one wing and sent it forward as her horn glowed. Die! She ordered, a beam of pure white magic, cutting through the horn and enveloping the lich, blown to pieces. What remained of the building was still already destroyed. This was the next, the one that followed, all the way through the walls surrounding Castle Tambleon. The light struck the building therein, spell-hold, still glowing with bright blue light from whatever magic Bray had placed upon it. When its magical energy erected with the stored spell there, spell-hold disappeared and blue tints flashed, leaving behind nothing save its foundations and the corpse of a former donkey prince. Luna was panting heavily, she realized, as she heard movement to her right. Glancing, she saw Corona having landed on a nearby piece of rubble, wings spread wide and horn glowing white. She still held the elements of magic in her telekinetic grasp. She opened her mouth to speak. The green purple fire erupted from the ground several pieces away from the two of them. Grogar once again reformed. Never! Grogar responded to Luna's order. Luna looked at her Corona. Tia! The elements! She said. Corona bristled. We do not need them! She exclaimed. Horns glow up brightening as once more she glanced out at Grogar. The lips burst into green flames, however, teleporting away into the sky. Corona turned to Luna. This battle has barely begun. We can fight for days if need be. Grogar's not so mighty as to oppose us for that long. She stopped her hoof. I will not return you to the means to seal me once more within the sun. Grogar laughed. Luna and Corona both turned, and Grogar's skeletal grin once more seemed to widen. This is magnificent, it said. Your own pride will let me triumph, Celestia. Let me turn the world into a feast to fuel my eternity. There's only one weapon you could use to destroy me, and you refuse because you cannot take me seriously. Who could? Luna demanded. Grogar bristled, and the Alicorn turned to face it, wings spreading wide. Grogar the Necromancer, so afraid of his own death that he will make deals with T-Rex and slay innocent beings just to stave it off. And that's all there is to you. What? Grogar demanded. Fear! Luna snarled, lips curling. T-Rex had grand designs of his own on the world. Sombra wanted an empire and a legacy. Even she, Luna pointed at Hover Corona, is acting towards some greater goal. You? You have nothing but self-centered fear driving your existence. Luna shook her head. You're not the first monster desiring immortality, I have thought. You're not even the first to achieve it. You're simply the only one who wanted nothing beyond that. Even now, all you can think of is how to keep your stolen immortality. So of course my sister and I are already looking past your defeat to what will come next. Your own aspirations are just so small. Purple flames that made up Grogar's eyes widened, while the green flames that illuminated the rest of his body seemed to shrink. Only lasted a moment, however, and after that moment the flames leaped in size. Grogar roared. Small? Small? It demanded, lifting forward head down. No magic, no spell. He simply tried to ram into them. Luna and Corona leapt away. Grogar turned to Luna, mouth wide. I have transcended death itself, Alicorn. I have defied your will, bent the will of T-Rex to my own. 2,000 years of careful preparation came to fruition today. Grogar Corona lasted Grogar with a whip made of fire, but the necromancer stopped it with his shield and sent out a lance of dark magic. Luna beat her wings and sent a razor gale ahead, but Grogar only let it slice apart, reforming instantly and closing in on the Alicorn, ramming its skull into her, sending her flying away. Grogar stopped the hoof, recreating its necromantic wings. It took to the sky once again, buzzing out with baleful flame and dark magic. Corona tried to close in on it, but simply turned its attention onto her as well. I am immortal. I have no rival, no equal. What do I need beyond that? You will die. Your ponies will die. Everything will die but me. That is all I need! A fireball finally struck home against Luna, sending her flying away down to the ground. She landed near the city gates itself, and the main street that led up to it. Grogar plummeted, landing nearly atop the alicorn, sending its ribs forward as a series of lances. Luna was up and parrying them away with telekinesis and wing, but Grogar kept advancing, his destroyed ribs reforming in its flames and being launched forward anew as it forced her back towards the gates. An angry foreign's fireball landed on top of Grogar, and a blasting Corona landed, followed up with another fireball. Grogar reformed within the flames, however, as he seemed to be drawn to their own green conflagration. Luna panted heavily in a brief moment of respite for Grogar. The mask of impassivity. Its sneeze was finally dropped. Grogar was angry, purple flames billowing every now and then from his nasal cavity, as though he still had a nose which drew breath and was snoring in rage. It was around then that the 6 ponies arrived, Trixie leading the way as they reached the main gates of Tambleon. Trixie had been expecting to see a few things surrounding the corner looking in. Among those things had not been Luna, Corona, and Grogar, none of them more than 20 feet away. Gah! She exclaimed, stopping her canter, trying to get back to the building. Luna and Corona's heads both whipped around to look at him, while Grogar's old purple eyes narrowed. Luna acted first, even as Grogar began to charge. She turned to Corona, grimacing as he raised a hind hoof to bite as hard as she could at Corona's face. The outgoer of the sun noticed and reacted, wide-eyed as he beat her wings and sailed backwards. As such, Luna only clipped her chin slightly. It was, however, only intended as a distraction. Luna's magic reached out and seized the element of magic. Before Corona could do anything, the element was enveloped in a midnight blue glow, disappeared in a pop, reappeared on Trixie's head. Grogar noted. It started stopping as his own flames grew bright. Teleported past Corona and Luna both, it appeared in the midst of the ponies, his richest grin whining as it did. No! Luna exclaimed. Die! Grogar said at the same time, green purple flames racing up for the 6 of them, watching over them harmlessly, as each of the elements began to glow brightly. Not preparation to attack, but merely to defend those that bore them. Sid Barris never cried out in shock and fell away from Grogar, but the increased distance of a few feet didn't seem to have any effect on their protection. Grogar realized his mistakes, and the purple flames that occupied his eye sockets seemed to whiten, glanced out of his bones, but they too shattered within instants of the element bearers, unable to harm them. Grogar then tried to fly straight up and away, but the elements reacted yet again, closing the lips between the 6 ponies. No! No! He exclaimed, spinning in place, charging forward, trying to ram his way out of shield. Didn't work. Grogar had become trapped in place. Tracy looked to her friends. Eyes were all wide, but they were beginning to realize they weren't going to die. The elements were protecting them from Grogar's magic, as they had protected them from Corona's all those months ago. In fact, they were doing one better. They were holding the list in place, making it that much more vulnerable. He could get close to them, mere inches from them, but no closer. It's like he was trapped in a glass box, and he took it about as well as could be expected. Dames? Trixie asked, a smile spreading on her face. She closed her eyes, focusing her thoughts up into the element of magic and now sat on her head, even as her friends began focusing onto their own respective elements. Once again, Trixie felt the power building within her friends, as the links between them, as long as they united them, formed a magical conduit like no other. Trixie opened her eyes. The 6 of them were in a circle around Grogar, rising to the air around him. A rainbow of magic curled between each of the 6 as he rose above his head and went down on him. They collected into Trixie's element, the element of magic. Grogar was still trying to escape his invisible prison, but to no avail. Magic, green fire, even bucking and ramming it wasn't helping. This is impossible! It screamed, I am a god! Trixie didn't have anything to say about that. She decided to let the elements of harmony speak for her. The power had fizzed, levitating, and that's between the 6 friends, manifesting as a rainbow-colored point of light that hovered directly over Grogar before landing down. It was quick. Grogar fell silent and froze the moment the elements of magic touched it. Green fires went out, and the purple fire followed soon after. When the element's power last receded, Brokar was nothing more than a black-brand skeleton that just stood still, like some kind of museum preserve. As the 6 ponies were deposited once more into the ground, the skeleton collapsed in a heap of smoldering, brittle bones, and nothing more. As always, the elements took a lot out of Trixie. She found herself staggering on her hooves when the rush of power ebbed. She fell back into a sitting position, breathing heavily. She wasn't unconscious, she realized, not like the last 2 times she had used the elements of Corona. Her friends, too, were still awake, panting like they had run a marathon, eyes glazed and somewhat unfocused, though that focus returned quickly. Having a mad alicorn of the sun standing only a few feet behind you tended to have that effect on a pony. Taking a few minutes to steady yourself, she looked back, towards the city of Tambleon. Luna was standing just outside the gate, wings raised high, having planted herself firmly between herself and Corona. The white alicorn was just inside the gate, her own wings spread wide as she alternated looking between Luna and the 6 ponies. There was silence, a silence that might have stretched for seconds or minutes as none of those ponies, or even the alicorns, dared to move, blink, or even breathe. Even the night was utterly still. Luna acted first, hitching forward, Corona reacting by spreading her wings wider, while the 6 ponies bunched together, readying themselves. Luna wasn't attacking, only stepping forward. Tia, please come home. Corona stared at her carefully. I will, she said, when I am ready to take my rightful place. Luna blinked once. I will fight you, she said, her voice cracking. Will fight you, Trixie said, forcing herself to her host, coming forward despite her exhaustion. The other 5 ponies followed suit, coming alongside the princess. We'll stop you. Corona regarded them. You will try, she said as her horn glowed. I will be merciful when you fail. She disappeared in a white-tinted flash. Trixie looked at her mentor, but his eyes were glued to the spot where Corona had been for several long moments. Trixie pressed closer to Luna, reaching up a hoof and biting the princess's shoulder. The alicorn gasped at the touch, taking a deep breath and holding it. So obvious he was fighting back tears. Princess, Trixie asked. Let's go. After a few moments, before closing her eyes tightly, bowing her head, taking a few steady breaths, as she opened her eyes again, Trixie saw the first few moments hadn't helped. Those tears flowed freely, though she nevertheless smiled down at the ponies. Let's, she said, gather round, my little ponies. Let's leave this island. Onwards and upwards, cheerily phrased her carefully. Yes. Luna said as her horn glowed blue, ready to teleport them all. Onwards and upwards, and forwards.